Following the tragic events that took place at Travis Scott's Astroworld Festival, a petition is gaining traction asking to cancel Scott's Coachella performance. And I'm going to be getting into all the details in this video. But first, make sure to subscribe if you're new here. Following the event, 8 people have been pronounced dead, and hundreds of others are injured, some in critical condition. Travis first issued a statement giving his thoughts and prayers to the families. Later, he uploaded an Instagram story video looking disheveled and reiterating that he loves every one of his fans and is doing everything possible to help the families of the deceased. He also announced he will be issuing refunds. Since the event, tons of videos have been going viral showing the audience members' point of view during the situation. Some of the videos even show Travis feet away from someone being resuscitated, but not stopping the show. Another shows 2 men coming on stage to talk to Travis after the music had stopped, but Travis deciding to continue on with the show anyway. All of the content is making fans believe that Travis saw people were hurt, but still decided to do nothing. It's also been reported that Travis was warned about crowd control before the festival by police, so clearly he was aware the disaster could strike. A petition has been created calling on the co-founder of the Coachella Valley Music and Arts Festival, Paul Tollett, to drop Travis Scott from the event that will be held April of 2022. The Change.org petition was created 2 days ago by Sendero Secreto. The summary of the petition states, "With the recent tragic and unnecessary death at Travis Scott's Astroworld concert, due to Scott's own gross negligence and sheer lack of compassion for human life, we ask AEG, Paul Tollett, and Golden Voice to remove him as a performer at all of their festivals." The petition now has close to 20,000 signatures. The creator also posted an update after Travis's video apology, saying, "After watching Travis Scott's apology video, it's very clear that he's trying to avoid blame in the unnecessary deaths of his fans. At no point in his video apology did we think he was genuinely sorry for the loss of lives at his concert. Please start sharing this petition so we can make our voices heard." One comment on the petition read, "Travis Scott cannot be trusted with headlining a set or any festival set with his disorderly conduct." Another said, "After viewing hours of clips of video, I do not believe he didn't know something was wrong. He has been arrested twice for encouraging his audience to act exactly like they did, except this time lives were lost. He did pause 4 times. He could have taken time to shine the light into the crowd, as we've all seen professionals do, to make sure everyone is safe. Children died, he markets to children." After the event, Travis pulled out of the Day in Vegas festival that's taking place this weekend, and I wouldn't be surprised if he pulls out of more. I've been hearing a lot of people in the industry say that Travis is too big of an insurance liability to perform at any events until all the lawsuits are resolved. So I think it's safe to say he won't be asked to perform at any more festivals in the future, and I think it's highly likely that Coachella will drop him if he doesn't just pull out himself.
Kris Jenner is in crisis mode right now and fears that Kylie Jenner may lose millions of dollars from her various brands following this Travis Scott Astroworld tragedy. I'm your host Johnny Rogers, and I'm going to tell you everything you need to know right here on IO. But first, if you happen to be new here and you don't want to miss another video, make sure you tap that subscribe button. And with that out of the way, let's begin. According to reports coming out this morning, Kris Jenner is in crisis mode because she is worried that Kylie stands to lose millions of dollars from her beauty lines. As you all know, last Friday, Travis Scott's Astroworld Festival turned into a mass casualty event that left 8 people deceased and hundreds more with serious injuries. Following this event, Kylie and Travis faced a ton of backlash for how things were being handled. People were critical of Travis for not ending his set earlier, and even more furious with Kylie Jenner, who recorded an ambulance driving through the crowd in front of her. A source close to the Kardashians told the press, "Kylie feels the weight of this and more than anything wants to do right by the victims. I know people do not think she cares, but she really does. At the same time, she's a businesswoman responsible for the livelihood of a lot of people. She feels like she's in a lose-lose situation because she wants to take time to respect the victims from Astroworld, but at the same time she employs a lot of people." You see, if Kylie just starts posting about her various beauty brands this close to the tragedy, she could risk taking a huge hit to her brand, but at the same time the only way her products move is through her social media posts. So it's a bit of a catch-22. She's going to see sales dip off if she doesn't promote them, and if she does promote them, she'll have to deal with more angry people calling her insensitive. This source continued by saying, "The longer her companies go without being active on social media or promotion, the more sales go down and the less they make from marketing. We're talking potentially millions of dollars in losses." And according to reports, Kylie makes over $1 million per Instagram post, and she's typically posting every day, if not more. But let's say she only posts once a day. With no posts since last Friday, she's already looking at a loss of at least $6 million. This source also claimed that Kris and Kylie are now working cautiously on how they are going to be moving forward. They go on to say, "She feels a responsibility as a brand founder, but she also also knows the second that they do post something business related, people will be upset she's moved on and doing self-promotion after this tragedy. So she does feel that lose-lose in a sense. She's working closely with her mom as both her manager, but she's also leaning on her for emotional support. Chris is in crisis mode and still figuring out how to handle this best. Now, I for one am always a little suspicious whenever a source starts speaking on a situation like this. If you're not going to tell us who you are, how can we really trust this information? And turns out we really can't. A representative for Kylie responded to these claims and said that this information was incorrect, but they also neglected to correct anything that was said, so there's also that. Sources aside though, we already know that Kylie Swim was not performing well and had its own controversies before all of this even happened. So with a new brand that's not being promoted, this will certainly be a test to see if Kylie's products can withstand more controversy and even less promotion. Brands typically have to post multiple times a day to just drive sales to their website and depend on engagement to have their posts do well. However, all of her brand accounts have shut off comments and haven't been posting at all. Following news of the tragedy, Kylie released this statement that said, "Travis and I are broken and devastated. My thoughts and prayers are with all who lost their lives, were injured, or affected in any way by yesterday's events. And also for Travis, who I know cares deeply for his fans and the Houston community. I want to make it clear we weren't aware of any fatalities until the news came out after the show, and in no world would have continued filming or performing. I am sending my deepest condolences to all of the families during this difficult time and will be praying for the healing of everyone who has been impacted." My question is, will you still buy from any of Kylie's brands following this tragedy, or do you think that this is really going to hurt her business?
A 9-year-old fan and his family are the latest people to take legal action against Travis Scott and the venue for his injuries at the Astroworld Festival. The boy is currently in a medically induced coma, fighting for his life, and his family is demanding $1 million in damages. I'm Mackenzie, and let's get into all the details of this tragic incident, but make sure to subscribe for any new updates. The 9-year-old boy named Ezra Blount is currently in a medically induced coma after he was seriously injured at the Astroworld Festival. The boy's family is now suing Scott for gross negligence. Ezra was at the festival with his father Tristan. In the heat of the chaos at the event, Ezra's father Tristan had him on his shoulders for protection, but unfortunately Ezra was dropped to the ground after his father passed out from exhaustion. This led to damage to his lungs, kidneys, liver, heart, and brain. When Tristan awoke, he went to the medical tent and was told his son was admitted to the hospital due to his severe injury. Tristan started a GoFundMe page for support, which has now raised over $50,000. The lawsuit against Scott claims that he and concert organizers failed to enforce proper safety protocols or provide sufficient security staff for the event, which was attended by more than 50,000 people. Blount's family is blaming Travis and the festival for not stopping the concert for more than 40 minutes after the event was labeled a mass casualty event by police. Travis temporarily paused the music on 3 occasions, but never for more than a few moments. The lawsuit implicated Travis, Live Nation, Cactus Jack Records, and even Drake, who was performing with Scott on stage during the heat of the chaos. Lawyers believe the damages for the event will be in the billions of dollars. Tristan, Ezra's dad, is a huge Travis Scott fan and even has an Astroworld tattoo on his forearm, but now he wants answers and compensation for what happened to his son. Ezra's grandfather, Vernon Blount, told ABC 13, quote, "I've seen apologies online that didn't look so sincere from people who participated in the event. If you feel so bad, why don't you go to the hospital to check on your fans? Why would you keep letting concerts be this way and let people get injured? Nobody should get injured to make $1. Nobody should have to lose their child, their grandchild to make $1. Safety should have been provided for their fans." Ezra's grandfather also revealed to media that the boy was injured so badly that he went into cardiac arrest at some point and is suffering brain damage. Vernon added, quote, "If the mayor said there was 500 policemen there, I didn't see 500 policemen. When the event said there was 700 security, I didn't see 700 security. I saw children running through their gates, that's what I saw." Travis has commented on the situation since the event and revealed that he will cover funeral costs of those who are deceased following the event. Since the tragedy, he has been hit with a slew of lawsuits from the victims' families as well as the injured. One lawsuit served yesterday involved 68 attendees who were at the event. Texas attorney Thomas J. Henry says that he is being contacted by more people by the hour. Following the event, it was reported that 8 people lost their lives, although yesterday a 9th person, a student named Bahardi Shahadi, has lost her life following the festival. She had been on a ventilator fighting for her life since the concert, but the 22-year-old student was just labeled brain dead by doctors. Since the Astroworld tragedy unfolded, many are asking how such a reckless event could have continued on, even after it was clear that fans were getting badly injured in the crowd. But after looking into Travis's history of raging at concerts, it's clear that this is not the first disaster he's been responsible for. I'm Mackenzie, and let's get into the dark truth about Travis Scott's Astroworld Festival tragedy. But first, make sure to subscribe if you're new here and want to see more. Before the Astroworld Festival, Travis was known for his high-energy concerts where he would encourage the crowd to rage with him. But following the tragedy, the safety of his raging is being called into into question. An old video that Travis did with GQ on the subject of raging just resurfaced, where he talks about his love for performing. In the 2015 interview called How to Rage with Travis Scott, he explained his high-energy raging came from his love of wrestling as a kid, saying that since he was 6 he loved wrestling and he wants the concerts to feel like WWE. He added that he can also perform anywhere, saying, quote, "I just need air and a mic. I don't need a stage to effing perform, no, we just need something to stand on. It could be somebody." He then showed a necklace he wears that signifies no standing, adding, quote, "We don't want you standing around, like this is a no standing zone." He then encouraged the use of illicit substances to get lit, telling fans to consume anything needed to get lit and rage as hard as possible, like alcohol or drugs. Travis also encourages fans to not use their phones at his concert so they can live in the moment and have the most fun possible. He then added that people needed to rage so hard that, quote, "At the end of the night you should be effing throwing up." Travis has also encouraged reckless behavior in the past. In resurfaced Instagram posts, Travis took photos of his seriously injured fans and praised them for committing to the rage. I can't show you these photos, but they were still up on his Instagram when TMZ first reported this, so they still might be. The photos are from 2014 and 2015, and they both show a person passed out on the ground. One photo showed a person laying on the floor not moving with their eyes open. It looked as if the person was deceased, and Travis captioned it, "WTF." The other post shows a man on the ground not moving, and Travis captioned the haunting photo, quote, "To the kid that didn't survive the rodeo, you're a hero in my book." One video is also resurfacing of Travis telling a fan to jump off a balcony onto the crowd at a concert. This fan ended up jumping and they were fine, but another fan decided to jump to get Travis's attention, and that fan ended up paralyzed. So it's clear from these statements that Travis is okay with anything and everything happening at his concerts in order to rage, and that fans should expect that his concerts will be very high energy with lots of movement. Following the recent Houston tragedy, the public was reminded of other tragedies that have taken place at Travis Scott concerts. He was charged with disorderly conduct in 2015 after he encouraged fans at Lollapalooza to climb over security barricades and rush the stage. After fans came on stage with Travis, the concert was shut down only 5 minutes after the performance started. Then, 2 years later, he was arrested for allegedly inciting a riot during a concert in Arkansas, and later pled guilty to disorderly conduct. One person who attended the festival named David McGilver told people that he suffered a sprained ankle as well as bruises to his leg and rib, and he felt like he was going to lose his life. McGilver said, quote, "I remember me being on the ground and the music stopping and I could hear him say, 'Y'all know what y'all came here for,' and you can hear everybody screaming out for help. And then the music just plays back again. I just don't understand how you can hear everyone screaming out for help and not stop the show at all." Travis Scott has posted numerous statements following the event, stating that he was unaware what was happening while he was performing. A source close to Travis said, quote, "The lights were shining in his eyes and he couldn't see what was happening." But as of now, it seems like a lot of fans just don't believe it.
Coming in at number 10, not a festival. Typically when you go to a music festival, you're going to walk around and see multiple stages or venues that have artists of all levels and genres. This isn't done by accident. This is actually planned so that fans are given choice and therefore will be split between stages. However, whenever you make the focus of your festival, and by focus I mean theme, all Travis Scott, sure, it might be great for his ego, but logistically this is a nightmare. If you go to Astroworld, of course you're going to want to see Travis Scott, and this is why there were 50,000 people all jammed into one area. However, if he had, let's say, Cardi B or someone else performing on another stage around the same time of his set, this could have split up the crowd a lot more. I'm sure there would still be lots of people, but it wouldn't have been this extreme. However, this does lead me to my next point. Coming in number 9, poor planning. According to the fire chief, they say that Energy Park, where this event was hosted, could have held up to 200,000 people, but that it was limited to just 50,000. So even in knowing what the venue could hold and what their capacity was, they still failed to properly organize. Reza Germani, a veteran Los Angeles festival promoter, spoke about the importance of dividing crowds between stages and said, "If you've got favorable artists on different stages at the same time, then the crowd will be split. You've got to have secondary options for stages and other talent." And according to the Washington Post, the Astroworld organizers only filed some plans on what they were doing just days before the festival started. In their filing, they also included a one-page security plan and said that 26 police officers were assigned to do crowd control and 60 were assigned to do traffic control. However, after the event, local police claimed that there were actually 528 Houston police officers in attendance and more than 750 security guards. So more than enough manpower and really just no proper plan put in place. Coming in at number 8, no emergency exits. This was already a tragedy, but man, could it have been so much worse. People were so jammed in together that anyone who passed out had to be crowd surfed out of there. That is no way to handle someone who had just gone unconscious. I understand that that's what they had to do because there truly was no other option available to them, but damn is it sad to watch. This sort of branches off of the point of poor planning, but why weren't there more barriers to split the crowd in case of emergencies? There should have been even more clear paths made in case EMTs had to help someone. What's worse is that everyone and their mother knows Travis Scott concerts are dangerous, so if you know what you're getting into, why not prepare or over-prepare for the worst case scenario? Which we'll get to more of in my next point, but I really think this tragedy is going to force festivals and venues to be more on top of crowd control, kind of like a lifeguard who just watches for people that are being knocked down. Coming in at number 7, the operation plan. Despite having a 56-page event operations plan for the Astroworld Festival, they neglected to prepare for things such as crowd surges. The plan had protocols for other dangerous scenarios such as severe weather, an active shooter, or bomb threats, but nothing to prepare themselves for what ended up taking place. What's more bizarre is that in the plan, they even have a section that talks about the possibility of a riot. However, they only briefly touch on how this should be taken seriously, but provide no protocol for when this occurs. In the plan, it says, in any situation where large groups of people are gathering, there is the potential for a civil disturbance/riot that can present a grave risk to the safety and security of employees and guests. The key in properly dealing with this type of scenario is proper management of the crowd from the minute the doors open. Crowd management techniques will be employed to identify potentially dangerous crowd behavior in its early stages in an effort to prevent a civil disturbance/riot. However, now authorities are investigating if any of this was followed at all. Coming number 6, no staff radio. Another big reason for this event becoming a disaster is the lack of accessible communication. According to Mary Langton, who is the president of the Houston Professional Firefighters Association, she said that firefighters tried to obtain a radio from the festival organizers to just have direct contact with them, but instead they were just given a list of phone numbers. This list of cell phone numbers was meant to be used in the event of an emergency, but the problem with that is lines become busy, signals can be bad in areas, or perhaps the person you're trying to reach just doesn't hear their cell phone. So many issues with this line of communication at an event. If radios were being used instead, they could have at least had a direct line to the people running the show and shut things down the moment an ambulance was trying to make its way through the crowd. Coming number 5, overworked medics. A woman named Madeline Eskins, who attended the concert and confirmed with the press that she was an ICU nurse, said that after she was being crushed by the crowd near the front of the stage, she fell unconscious. She then apparently was crowd surfed out of the packed area and woke up with a water bottle in her lap and no clue as to what just happened. As she looked around, she claims to have witnessed other people being carried out with their eyes rolled back and bleeding from their nose and mouth. A security guard then even asked her to help them resuscitate other people who had been pulled out of the crowd as well. She goes on to say in a post about the event, some of these medical staff had little to no experience with CPR, didn't know how to check a pulse, carotid, or femoral. She said some people who had pulses were getting unneeded CPR, but that there weren't enough people to do CPR on individuals that were actually pulseless, adding, the medical staff didn't have the tools to do their jobs, and despite the crowd around us trying to get someone to stop the concert, they just kept going, even though Travis acknowledged that someone in the crowd needed an ambulance. In at number 4, team breakdown. My heart really does go out to those poor EMTs that had to continuously work on trying to revive people in this chaos and by themselves in most situations. Another TikTok user who claimed to be a medic at the event said that he was on his way to assist another medic, but he had to stop and save another concert goer who had also fallen unconscious. And this kept happening again and again to medics who were just trying to work in teams because so many people were running up to them requiring assistance. Anyone who has performed CPR knows that it gets tiring, so that's why there should always be a team of at least 2 people who can then switch back and forth and really assist each other in saving a life. But that wasn't an option at this moment, and now we are seeing the tragic results. Coming in at number 3, ignoring the signs. So my question is that after witnessing all of this chaos and seeing an ambulance drive through the crowd of his festival, all of those people were there to see him perform. So in a few words, Travis could have easily controlled that entire crowd and calmed things down. He even stopped the show a few times, noticing when someone had passed out, but I just don't get how you can see that happen and then go on to tell people who want the show to stop that, quote, you know why you came here. He then told the crowd that he wanted them to make the ground shake, which must have just been the most terrifying thing in the world if you've been knocked down on the ground and you can't get back up. There were also so many horrible videos of people being carried out of the crowd, and meanwhile Travis is just doing the robot up on a platform like nothing is wrong. Coming in number 2, the insurance policy. According to a report from TMZ, NRG Park, which is the venue that hosted Astroworld, only has an insurance policy totaling $26 million, which is nowhere near what they're going to need in order to pay for the hundreds of injuries and what they owe to the families of the deceased. Within the policy, it provides $1 million for primary coverage, and then it has a $25 million umbrella attached. But like I said, with more than 300 injured and 8 people confirmed to have lost their lives, the damage could be in the hundreds of millions of dollars. And when the policy can't cover it, the venue has to fork over anything above that limit. That being said, hopefully between Live Nation and Travis Scott himself, they have other insurance policies to cover this, because if this all ends up falling onto the venue, it could be disastrous for their business. Coming in at number 1 spot, words matter. Alec Baldwin's daughter Ireland tried to defend Travis Scott against the amount of backlash that he was getting from this tragedy. She blamed misinformation on him being wrongly accused of inciting a riot. However, she goes from saying that no one should get hurt listening to live music, and then tries to say that Travis shouldn't be at all responsible when people get hurt listening to his music. I mean, he literally has lyrics that talk about people getting hurt at his shows. In the song Stargazing, he says in one verse, "Got new money, got new problems, got new enemies. When you make it to the top, that's the amenities. Packing out Toyota like I'm in the league, and it ain't a mosh pit if ain't no injuries. I got him stage diving out the nosebleeds." Plus, add to that him instructing the crowd to make the ground shake, knowing people had passed out, and then telling them you know why you came here when asked to stop.